So there's a new path to U.S. residency on the table, and it's built on a pretty startling idea, a 7-figure gift to the government. But beyond that huge price tag, what are the actual mechanics? What are the trade-offs? And more importantly, what are the critical details that aren't so obvious? Let's break it all down.
Right off the bat, the core idea is incredibly direct. It's U.S. residency in exchange for a massive, non-refundable gift. This isn't an investment, it's basically a purchase. And that right there sets the stage for a completely different kind of immigration pathway.
All right, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at exactly how this new pathway is supposed to work. Then, we'll compare the whole gift model to the traditional investment one. After that, we'll dive straight into the trade-offs, look at some major unanswered questions, and finally, we'll put it all together to figure out who this program is actually for.
Okay, first things first, let's just lay the groundwork. How does this program actually function, step by step? Understanding the basic mechanics is absolutely essential before we can get into the real analysis. On the surface, the whole process is laid out as the super simple 4-step deal. You pay a fee, you pass a background check, you make a $1 million gift, and you get residency. The key thing to notice here is how simple it all sounds. It's a deliberate projection of simplicity that, as we're about to see, might be masking some pretty serious complexities.
And that brings us to the most fundamental difference. See, this new model isn't just a small change to the existing investment visa. It's a totally different financial philosophy for getting residency.
Okay, so here's the core distinction in practice. The new program, it's a one-way, non-refundable gift. The money's gone. The established program, on the other hand, is an investment. Your capital gets put into a U.S. business, and there's a potential, though no guarantee, that you could get it back, maybe even with a profit.
Now, a key legal term you'll hear for the established program is at risk. It basically means the investor's money has to be genuinely subject to business risk. The new program just completely eliminates that uncertainty. It replaces financial risk with the certainty of a sunk cost.
So, this all leads us to the 3 big factors that really define the choice between these two paths: speed, simplicity, and cost. And this is where the trade-offs become incredibly clear. So, the speed they're promising is a huge, huge selling point. The new program advertises a timeline of just weeks. Now, in the world of immigration, that is extraordinarily fast, especially when you compare it to the year-plus processing times you often see with the established investment program. And the simplicity factor is just as dramatic. The new program gets rid of 2 of the biggest hurdles of the investment visa. First, there's no requirement to prove you created 10 U.S. jobs. And second, you don't have to keep the investment sustained and at risk for years. That alone removes a massive layer of complexity and business risk.
But this is where the pendulum swings hard in the other direction, the cost. For one person, the numbers might look kind of comparable on paper. But for a family, the difference is just vast. The established program's single $800,000 investment can cover an entire family. But the new program, it requires a separate $1 million gift for every single family member. $4 million. And remember, that's a gift you never get back, not an investment. This isn't just a high price tag, it's a strategic filter. It tells you that this program is designed for a very specific person, someone for whom a $4 million sunk cost is just an acceptable price to pay for maximum speed and zero hassle.
So, okay, we see the logic of the program. You trade a ton of non-recoverable cash for speed and simplicity. But when you start to dig a little deeper, you find these critical ambiguities and some really big unanswered questions just hiding beneath the surface of the official details. And the first major question comes from how the program actually grants your status. See, it uses existing high-skilled visa categories, EB1 or EB2, which normally require people to prove things like extraordinary ability or that their work is in the national interest. So the core question is this: does writing $1 million check replace all those strict requirements? Or do you have to meet them in addition to paying the money? The program materials, they just don't say. And this is a massive detail, because the choice between those visa categories can mean a drastically different wait time, especially for applicants from countries that have long visa backlogs. Now, this next point about the $2 million corporate option raises some really serious questions about what permanent residency even is. The program materials describe a benefit that can be transferred from one employee to another. And that's, well, it's puzzling, because a green card, lawful permanent residency, is granted to a person. It's not a corporate asset you can just reassign. It kind of suggests that maybe the benefit can be transferred before residency is finalized, but the language is so ambiguous. It creates a lot of confusion about what employers are really buying for $2 million.
And here's a detail that isn't obvious at all, and it could be a huge catch for a lot of people. The program promises this super fast processing in weeks. But the question is, does that fast timeline apply to the entire process or just the initial paperwork?
Well, if you dig into the program's own FAQs, there's a crucial note. It says, visa availability may still cause wait times of a year or more for some countries. This strongly implies that fast processing just means fast initial approval. It doesn't mean you get to skip the line for an actual visa. For anyone from a country with long backlogs, this one detail could make the program's biggest benefit, its speed, almost totally irrelevant.
So let's pull all of this together. When you take the clear trade-offs and you stack them up against these critical unanswered questions, a pretty clear picture starts to emerge of who this program is really for.
So you end up with two really different profiles.
The new program seems custom-made for someone who values speed and simplicity above absolutely everything else, has zero interest in dealing with US business, and for whom cost, even for a family, just isn't a primary concern. On the flip side, the established program is for someone who's more cost-sensitive and is willing to deal with complexity and risk for the chance of getting their capital back.
And ultimately, it just boils down to an applicant's own priorities. As one expert analysis puts it, it's really a calculation of whether that massive cost justifies removing all the time, all the complexity, and all the risk from the immigration equation.
Which leaves us with the final question. Is this some kind of groundbreaking new model for attracting high-value people, offering a clear, fast, transactional path to residency? Or is it just an incredibly expensive, super niche option whose main appeal is undermined by these fundamental ambiguities and unresolved questions? Honestly, that remains to be seen.